So I've been staying in a temporary apartment in the past few weeks. The owner never planned to rent out the room long term, but she was very kind to let me stay temporarily. Now I'm finally moving into my own place. I finally could visit my apartment 2 months after I paid my deposit. It's been occupied by the existing tenants. These are his belongings. Now the most important thing is to smash the like button and subscribe. Today's video I want to talk about my personal house hunting experiences in Singapore as a foreigner, how I viewed the apartments when I was still in the US, how many apartments I viewed, and how I decided on my current place. I'll answer them one by one. So in general, how was my house hunting process like in Singapore as a foreigner? To be honest, I started my house hunting process back in April, even before I came to Singapore. Now it's July, so it was 2.5 months ago. At the time, I was still in the US, so I used rental website like Property Guru. Then the next step is I selected a couple of neighborhoods that I want to live in and the range of the price point that I can afford. Then I make the list of the apartment links that I like and put them into Word documents. Then I contact the agents one by one on that list. And because I didn't have a Singapore number back then, the agent that I called thought that I was a scammer because I used a foreign number to call them. And so they asked me to come view the apartments, but I couldn't because I was still back in the US. So I asked them just to send me a video of the apartments, and they think I was so skeptical.
Why this lady want to live in Singapore but not come view the apartment?
And they thought I was totally a scammer. So I think I sent like about 30 messages and only about 6 people replied to me, and that's all. Now you may ask me, so how did you view your apartment when you're not in Singapore? So to answer in short, I asked them to send me the videos. I really think the real estate agents in Singapore should improve their photo or video taking skills. The pictures that show on Property Guru website are badly taken, or they just put like those pictures from the community surrounding or the building, not the room itself. So it was really hard for me to tell how good the apartment is. So the first neighborhood that I was looking for was Potong Pasir, a very small, quiet residential neighborhood towards the northeast part of Singapore, away from the CBD downtown area. It's a very local neighborhood, not so much expat neighborhood. For those of you who don't know Potong Pasir, I've explained that area in one of my previous video, and I'll link up here. Feel free to check it out after this video. Then later I found the inflation is quite obvious. I used to live in Potong Pasir for almost 3 years, but now the price is like 20 to 30% higher. So most of the places in Potong Pasir became like the upper limit of my budget, and I don't think they're worth that price. Then I looked for another place in Boon Kheng, which is only one subway stop away from Potong Pasir, and it's quite nice. It's by the river called Koala River, which I like, and it's perfect within my budget. But I found the place was like extremely small. It's only like 200 square feet. I don't think I can even fit in the stuff. Then the third video I looked at is the current place I'm renting, which you guys just saw. And here is the video that's taken by the real estate agent. You can see here how their video taking skill is. And it's still quite small. It's only 480 square feet, but it's still better than 200. So the third question is how many places I've viewed before I decided on my current place. So I've seen 3 videos of 3 homes. I've never seen any place in person physically, so I just deposited for this place when I was still back in the US, and this was back in April. So as a minimalist, I don't really need a lot of choices to make my decision. Once I feel the place is right, the feeling is right, then I just pay for it. It's the same when I was buying my house back in the US and I just saw the place for one day, then the next day I pay the deposit within like 24 hours. In general, I'm quite an efficient person. So the fourth question is how I decided on this home. So for me to look for my house, I have 3 requirements. First is crowdedness. So in minimalism, it's also kind of like being minimalist in people. I like to find a place that is close to a park, have more open area and less people. And I also like to look for a community that is smaller in size with only one single building rather than like multiple buildings in a whole complex. That's why I've never lived in the downtown area or commercial area. And seeing a lot of people just make me feel like dizzy and overwhelmed. But I still like the adjacent places close to downtown for a business meeting, but just not directly in downtown. So this place is perfect for this. My second requirement is privacy. I really value privacy. Not only I don't want to see a lot of people, I also don't want people to see me. In Singapore, it's actually quite hard to find such apartment because the land is so limited and the real estate is so precious. So in most apartments, I can see my neighbors walking around, and you can see your neighbors hanging clothes in the balcony or just like naked walking around. My balcony here is actually facing an open area where I don't see any people and nobody can see me either. I can't show you my balcony due to privacy, otherwise you guys know where I live. So my third criteria is efficiency and convenience. So minimalists always look for efficiency in anything we do. So when I think about this word efficiency, the first thing that comes to my mind is how to save time and maximize my productivity. Like how to save time on commuting and grocery shopping. I always like to be next to a very convenient location where I can access the MRT subway train station, where I can find foods easily. There's this statistic report that shows that we spend about 1 hour and 45 minutes per day on average on doing essential tasks. If you can save half of this time, it's almost like 1 hour time saving. You can use it to do your work, workout, family time, hobby. So this apartment is in a very convenient location, so it's perfect for me. Now let's also talk about space. I know space is very important to a lot of people, and people usually like to fit in as many belongings as possible if they have bigger space. But ironically, the size of the house is actually the least important aspect in my own consideration. The reason being that I know I can always fit in all my belongings, doesn't matter how big my apartment is. So I don't usually like to invite guests over, but if I ever do, my guests always say like, so where are all your things gone? If you have seen my previous video about minimalist packing, how I moved from US to Singapore with only 2 suitcases, you know I actually hide things quite well. If you haven't seen that video, do check it out. So that even though my home is very small, I actually make the home feels bigger than what it is. And I think that's the magic of minimalism. I hope you enjoyed this sharing. So what's your ideal home like? Comments below. So this home is unfurnished. I will be setting up this home from scratch. I'm thinking to take you guys through the process of how I set up this home from scratch. If you think it's interesting to you, do comments below. And that's all. See you guys next week. My actual camera just ran out of battery when I was filming, so I have to change. Now I'm filming with my phone. At that time I was still in the US, so I used property guru. Then the next step is I selected the neighborhood. Then I make the list of the report. And because I didn't have a single, so I think I sent like 30 messages about, or it's like really, or it's apparently taken, or they just mainly put up those, like, then I look for another place. So my third criteria